Enter the realm of KSBM Radio's creation. Student-led from inception to narration. Crafting content from dawn until dusk. All students involved in the work and the fuss. In the heart of Townview where voices reside. Student-led discussions where ideas collide. From interviews with leaders, peers, and businesses. Just watch us work, creating innovative content. Every aspect managed with student finesse. From podcast production to social media press. No task too daunting, no challenge too grand. KSBM Radio, we taking a stand. KSBM Radio, students leading the way. Every task idea, we seize the day. Witness now as all of our efforts break through. KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
I'm closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. I'm your host, Jade, joined by my co-host,
Santi.
And today we'll be continuing the TMC 30 and SBM 50 alumni series, where we highlight graduates who are making an impact in their careers and communities. Today, our guest is Miss Genie McGee, a graduate of the School of Business and Management, class of 2015. She went on to earn a degree in business administration from the University of North Texas at Dallas and has worked in the fields of law, recruiting, and finance. She now works with a Fortune 500 company helping individuals and families reach their financial goals. Miss McGee, welcome back to Townview. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we begin?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here back with the Townview family, so thank you.
All right, well, to start off with your past, just tell us about what made you choose the School of Business and Management.
Okay, I'll say I may have been lame in this way, but you know how sometimes you don't want to do what your parents do for a living? I wanted to do exactly what my parents wanted to do for a living. So they were both entrepreneurs. They both were in sales their whole entire work careers. And I just wanted to be able to grow what they already taught me and learn a little bit more, I would guess say a little bit more relevant things because my parents are both elderly. And so I wanted to go to a school I feel like I can use the skills that they already gave me and kind of grow upon that. So I felt like School of Business and Management, I believe, was my top choice at the time. I applied to a bunch of different magnet high schools, and this one was the one that felt like home.
That's amazing. So what were some of your favorite memories when you were here?
So going back to the question that we talked about, I would say joining different clubs, prom. I think coming in every morning, I had a group of rowdy friends, so we made memories every day, just starting off of our day. But being able to connect with teachers and make like lifelong friendships, I think that was some of the greatest memories and most impactful for me. I think sometimes you don't hold on to the people that you know in high school, and sometimes you're fortunate enough to hold on to those people. So starting out our relationships and then seeing how we've all progressed these past 10 years, I think that was just, you know, something that I'm really grateful for.
And do you think you can tell us a little bit about those extracurriculars and clubs?
Yeah, so I was in choir, I believe all 4 years. I did national, don't laugh, okay? Choir's cool.
Yeah.
Go choir. Okay, I was also in the National Honor Society. I want to say leadership and success was one of the groups as well, and also student council. So I was really, really passionate about doing a lot of things and filling my schedule up because that's exactly what I did.
So what teacher or staff member had an impact on you during your time at Townview?
Well, this is going to be a huge shout out to Miss Jennifer Sanders. We're adults now, so I'm going to call her by her first name, Jennifer. She was a huge impact on me, even beyond the classroom. I would say having her was just a blessing to my life, even as a kid and as an adult. Mr. DeCutler, the choir director, awesome dude, whoop, whoop. Him and his whole family, I would say, one just impactful inside the classroom, being able to teach me things. I was not a singer. Like, I could not sing before Mr. DeCutler. So being able to learn new skills. And then Ms. Balthrop, who I believe has retired from Townview, so you guys may not know her, but she was our business counselor at the time. And so she was really important during that stage of life. I'll say that I had a lot of reasons I ended up in the counselor's office, but having just a safe space to being able to go and communicate about things beyond academics was really powerful for me.
Can you tell us a bit about your senior year? How was that experience?
Senior year was busy. You guys are in the beginning stages. I just remember like there was never a dull moment or never a free moment. We were either planning for field trips, events. We're figuring out the best way to do college essays and applications. I was also in sports through my homeschool. And so being able to balance that on the schedule, choir, we did trips and UIL and going to Austin and, I just remember it was a whirlwind. I think it's important that you guys maybe take a moment and just realize what's actually happening here. You're like in your last stage of, adolescence, which is just a crazy thing to think. Next year you guys will be with the big people. You guys will be adults, right? And so they're just, I just remember like going from the beginning of year feeling like, oh, I'm just a baby. And then the end of the year, like, wow, I'm actually going to have to be out here in Independent next year. So everything was a blur, but I feel like it was a lot of good moments and good memories along the way.
I'm sorry. You're like the first person to like reference.
But what was your journey after senior year? How did you find yourself at UNTD?
Have you guys ever heard of a thing called hive mind? It's when you're around a bunch of people and you guys all start making the same decisions. We applied to a bunch of, me and my best friends at the time, we applied to a bunch of schools. We all ended up getting into UNT Denton. And so we're like, yeah, we're keeping the crew together. We're all staying, we're all in business. So we all had similar interests. And so that's how we kind of found I think I applied to Texas Tech, Baylor, SMU, and UNT Denton. And I got scholarships, and most of that money was going to be able to let me go to UNT Denton for free. I don't know if you guys know anything about private school, very expensive. Yes. And so that's how I ended up at UNT Denton. Great education. They ended up giving me an additional scholarship as well, so I really didn't have to come out of pocket for anything. So I was very grateful for that time that I spent there.
That's amazing. So what motivated you to ultimately major in business administration?
Again, just wanting to be an entrepreneur. It's still my long-term goal. I've not gotten there yet, but to open my own business one day. And so I wanted to be able to practice and being around people who are having those similar interests at the same time. I think college is a great way for you to begin networking with people. And that was just really important, especially when you want to go into business. I think having your own business, you have to learn a lot of skills really quickly. And sometimes even when you start those things, you learn along the way, right? Hopefully that answers your question, because I'm on a tangent.
But speaking on that, what skills did you have to develop while you were in college, or what skills did you grow on when you were over there in your business major?
Yeah, I would say communication, being able to do presentations. There are a lot of different technology courses that you have to take to be able to present to large groups. And then the things that they don't really teach you, but you learn on your own, I would say work ethic, time management. Those things are super important. There's no class in time management, but you'll learn when you take those 8 a.m. classes. Don't do it, guys. That time management is very important. So those type of skills kind of helped me while I was there. I took a lot of, just trying to keep busy like I was in high school, I took a lot of those things. And then, I had to learn how to talk to different diverse groups, or, talk to people that I normally would not have seen before. So, yeah.
So you completed your degree in 3.5 years. So what kept you focused and determined during that time?
Just wanting to see it through, I think, is what kept me focused, and wanting to be able to make my parents proud. I had a lot of hardships when I was in high school. My parents both passed away when I was in high school, so senior year became very difficult. When I got to college, I felt ready academically, but I think I was in a place where I just needed to slow down for a second. So fortunately enough, when I was at Townview, I was able to get dual credit classes. So I actually went to college as a second semester sophomore. And when I got to college, I took a year off, and then I went back for another 1.5 years. So I was able to condense that program by really going hard that last 1.5 years, and that kind of kept me motivated, like wanting to see it through, wanting to be able to graduate with my friends, and still finish those goals that I'd started as a child.
And again, what was the experience after college? Where did you find your next home, job, and stuff like that?
I was not one of the lucky ones. Sometimes you get lucky, you find a job right after college. It took me a while. There were some nights where I stayed up doing applications. And I think that goes back to networking, like I said, and then just remembering some of the connections that I made in college who were able to help me find those jobs. So along the way, before I was able to find like my forever home, I did work like some retail jobs. But then being able to connect with some people that I already spoken to and able to get those big girl jobs, those ones that make you feel like, okay, I'm actually getting benefits, I'm doing good things. And so and ask me that question again. I want to make sure that I actually answer it.
What was your experience after college? Like, how you said, how did you find your forever home, and what did it take for you to find your next best foot forward?
Yeah, just having a good attitude and keeping an open mind, I would say, is really important when you're in that transition stage. When you get out of college, a lot of things are a lot more independent than they were. And I'll say just having to keep the faith or hold on and remember, like, hey, like I have places that I want to go. Let me make sure I'm doing the things now to get me to those places.
That's amazing. So we're now going to move on to the present. So you have worked in law, recruiting, and finance. What did you learn about yourself as you moved across these different careers?
I think I learned more about the type of person that I want to be. You know, when I was in high school, I knew a lot about who I already was. And working in law really challenges you to be more mindful of other people's experiences. You know, when you're young, everything is about you, right? You're like, yeah, you have friends, but everything is about you. And when you go home and when you start working in those big companies, like, how do I care and invest so that I can be of a benefit and of a service to other people? And I think all three of those industries was like, wow, these people are having maybe significant issues that you've never even heard of before. How can I handle them with care, and I can make sure that I can help get what they need taken care of?
And you said you worked in retail. What skills from your earlier jobs helped you in your work today?
Oh gosh, we don't talk about retail, right? We don't talk about Bruno. Let's see, what skills helped me. I would say the major thing, again, going back to that time management, being able to juggle different tasks and make sure that you keep a good attitude so that you're not getting overwhelmed or burnt out really fast. Retail and customer service jobs will do that to you. And so I think starting in those, like, or maybe it's a little bit more emotionally, it's challenging you more emotionally, and then going into jobs where, okay, well, now I'm able to use those skills that I learned in retail to be able to kind of slow down and make sure that I'm really providing a good service to people that I'm helping.
So now to today, what does a day in your life look like at your job?
Oh, every day I would say is totally different. So I'll tell you about an ideal day, okay? An ideal day, I normally go in, I like to stay up on current events. And so when I first clock in, my first couple of 15 minutes, I'm going through maybe like emails, customer responses or something, and just kind of knowing what's happening in like the business world. And so just to kind of get my mind right for the rest of the day. And then I'll say that I normally spend some time on the phone trying to reach out to our existing clients and make sure, like, you know, do we need to schedule some time to go over everything that we've already started. And then there's a lot of times where you just spend in meetings. We still do a lot of training and development, even 3 years into this organization that I'm with now. And so, and then I have like 3-hour-long meetings a day with just individual clients. And so that will look totally different each time. I'll be talking to a couple or an individual person about what their family goals are, what their money goals are. The conversation is different every time, right? Because everyone is in a different position. So, and then I send some emails and I clock out.
And what keeps you motivated through these like long days of work?
Yeah, I would say I never really had a job with staying motivated through the work because I enjoy talking to people. You'll see, like, this woman is going to keep talking the whole time. But no, I enjoy being able to connect with different families. And so I'm passionate about that. You know, your passions is what kind of drives you even when you're overwhelmed with just the work of it all. And outside of that, like, I have a family. And I want to be able to make sure that I'm supporting my family in this generation and the next generation. So that's really important for me to make sure that I'm growing each year, right? I'm making better decisions. I'm making better pay, right? That's always important. We need more money. And so that keeps me on the job, even when the days gets hard.
So how do you balance between your work life and your personal life?
When it's time to leave, I leave. I know.
Yeah.
Not every industry does that work, okay? So I'll say in the industry that I'm in, fortunately, my job really does actually care about work-life balance. They're like, when your time is up, please go home. Please enjoy your family. I work remote, so it's really hard to sometimes separate that work and that home life when you're literally at your house, right? But when I leave, I close that laptop, I turn off every monitor, and then I am in my home, whatever that looks like.
And obviously, when working in the financial area, that's very personal for your clients. How do you build trust with your clients in order for them to start talking to you about those financial decisions?
Yeah, I would say that it's hard for a lot of people to understand what it's like to go into those meetings. So sometimes they're like, well, I'm not going to tell a stranger my business, right? Your money, what you have in your pocket right now, that's personal. And so I like to treat everybody like their family. Like, I want to make sure that I get to know you before we hop into what are your goals. So that normally is like, we'll spend whatever amount of time we need for people to get comfortable. You can tell me about your family. We'll talk about the weather, whatever it is that makes you feel like, okay, I can open up to this person. I can trust them with those decisions. And just making sure that you stay true to your word, right? You can't tell people, I'll be here, I'll start our meeting at 10 o'clock, and then you're not on the meeting until 10:15. They don't trust you, right? You're not going to be a trustworthy person, but making sure that you show up, you meet their expectations, you give them an idea of what to expect in advance, and then you're just yourself. Be whoever it is that you want to be, and then they feel like they can open up to you because you're not being dishonest with your personality.
So what has been meaningful to you about working in the Fortune 500 company?
I would say this company specifically I enjoy because they really do focus on giving back. So we're in a nonprofit Fortune 500, and so a lot of the money that we get in is going out to the community, and that was something that was tremendously important for me at the time. We partner with Habitat for Humanity, which you guys may be familiar with that company, but they build homes for people who ordinarily wouldn't be able to afford them. I like being able to go to certain events through work where we can give money to kids for, school, for housing, for different things like that. And so I like that this company has the capability to be able to reach the community, and they actually do care.
That's amazing.
I just wanted to think about how do you see community? Obviously, you said that was a big thing. Why is that such a big thing for you?
I would say community service is important for me because at one point in my life, I was on the receiving end. So being someone who had to receive certain things to survive, I wanted to make sure that once I got myself up, once I got into a position where I could be able to give, that I do take the time to be able to give, whether that be time, financial, physically, whatever that looks like. I want to be able to be a safe space and a giver to that next generation of people.
That's amazing. So where do you see your career heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years, I'm going to be in leadership, 100%. I'm already kind of in the early stages of getting to that, but that's my long-term goal. Before I get to just cutting it off and doing entrepreneurship, I want to be a people leader. So I'm already having those conversations with my leaders now about what that looks like to be able to make those next steps. I know that there are just different skills that I'm trying to grow upon now. Like I said, with presentation, being able to do like training and onboarding new hires and things like that I want to work on. But that's my ultimate goal. And in 5 to 10 years, absolutely, maybe. But 5 years specifically, like I think I'm really giving myself 2 from now to be in a leadership role.
That's really cool. You already mentioned about giving back to the community, but what kind of impact or legacy do you hope to leave through your work?
Yeah, I want to be the type of leader that fosters inclusion, and I want to be the type of leader that can be a mentor to others. I think sometimes people get in those higher up roles, and then it's harder for you to connect with the people who you may be responsible for. But I want to be able to be a mentor and be able to be a safe space and offer some different diversity and inclusion narratives that, ordinarily wouldn't be in those spaces.
So what advice would you give to students who are still trying to figure out what path to pursue?
Yeah, I would say keep an open mind. Sometimes it feels like everybody has everything figured out, and you may not be one of those people, but it's okay to not have it figured out when you're still, a teenager. It's okay to, still be wondering, well, what does life look like for me? I would say doing the work to figure those things out is what's most important, right? And that may look different for everybody, but maybe if you're like into reading books or listening to podcasts or doing some sort of mentoring, like I said, or counseling with different groups, keep an open mind because you may want to try something someday and you figure out that's not a good fit. But if you don't try, you'll never know. And so you get kind of stuck in a rut as an adult, like, how do I know what to do next if, it's never been shown to me or something like that? I would just say keep an open mind, be ready to hustle every day, and work hard to figuring out who you are as a person and what you want to be doing.
So, yes. So our last question, the signature question is, if you could go back and give your high school self-advice, what would you say?
I would say, young Genie, remember that even failures can teach you lessons. I think sometimes you're like, well, I didn't do this right, and you get really hard on yourself. I know I did. I wanted to be valedictorian my whole 4 years. When I graduated, I finished 6th in my class. You think that broke my heart? It did. But just being able to be like, okay, I didn't reach that goal, but what did I learn on that journey, on the way to that goal? I think those are lessons that you have to stop and be introspective about.
All right. All right. Thank you, Ms. McGee. Thank you for taking the time to return to Townview and talk with us today. It means a lot to hear from someone who once sat in these same classrooms and is now building a strong and meaningful career. Your story shows that the past gives us our start, and the present is where we grow, and the future is something we create with intention and effort. To everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to our SBM 50 and TMC 30 Alumni Series. We will continue sharing the journeys of graduates who come back to inspire the next generation. This has been KSBM Radio, the Voice of Townview. We will see you next episode.
Stay awesome.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the Voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add them on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.